Okay, everybody, it's me again. My name is Rick, and we're going to try to play with Unix some more. This time I'm going to just try to stay in my Apple terminal. I'm also trying this new thing that to help me organize myself. In number 4 of this series, I encountered a lot of things that I didn't know, and this I'm going to correct and add to what I left out in number 4 of this series. So this is what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to check these off here as we complete them. So I missed a lot of stuff. Number 1, first of all, I should really move the terminal like here. So and maybe even make it a little bigger. So there was that to fuss with, and doing that allows me to do this, like Control B question mark. And in number 4, I talked about these numbers here. So yeah, there were a number of things that I missed, and a handful of things that I missed, and so welcome to part 2 of tmux. And there's a bonus here. I'm going to try to do a third part. There's going to be more tmux after this, specifically on copying and pasting. I've been playing around with tmux more in preparation for adding copying and pasting, and I discovered some new things. I'm going to talk about that in number 6 of playing with Unix. Rick, that's me playing with Unix. Number 6, we're going to talk about copying and pasting, but I missed a few things. I'm going to correct them now. The first one is synchronized panes, and I'm going to click on this link, and this go here, or I'm going to put this in the chat. This resource is how to turn synchronized panes on and off. In number 4, I forgot how to turn it off, but really I just needed to call the function again. So recall that with synchronized panes, with panes, you can create with synchronized panes, you can send your keystroke to all the panes that you have open in your window. So remember, with Control B W, you have here a list of windows which you can scroll up and down, and you can even do a simultaneous view. But this is just a window. And to prevent some distraction, I'm going to go to this quieter screen. But if you make a pane with Control B S, this makes a pane, and it's a new shell, and you're in a different directory. Let's say you make another pane, Control B S. You have 3 panes now. One way to in show number 4, I said that you can update your panes and all the layouts just by doing Control B and return, and you see that it evens out all the different panes, and you can go to all the different panes and start typing stuff. So let me go into another directory, my documents directory. So now I'm in this directory, documents. In this pane, I'm in my home directory. Let me go to my pictures directory. And then in this pane, I'm in a separate directory, a third directory called macapp3. I wonder what's in that directory. Looks like it's a Mac application of sorts. But what if you wanted to do this ls on all three directories at the same time? And it turns out it's possible with the synchronized panes. In that page that I invite all of you to check out from Jonathan Pollardi, he talks about how you can do a key binding and the Windows status. So I'll talk about Windows status in a minute, but that's I call it the fancy way. If you remember, though, from number 4, you just need to do something like set synchronize panes. When you do that, you'll see a red border here, and when you start typing, it'll appear in all of your panes. So if I do ls minus L, this will show all of the different directories all at once. And if you do Control B and W, you can see, again, the simultaneous view of this window having 3 panes, but when you press the right arrow, you can see that you can look at each individual pane one at a time. So that's synchronized panes, and I think that Z says synchronized panes. So this capital Z here, capital Z. So let me go and just disable synchronized panes just by doing this. I just type this command again, and now my typing is confined to one of the panes. And if I do Control B W, well, it has Z. It has that capital Z there. So I'm not sure what that's for. That's more things to look up. It's doing these little videos that's making me look into this tool. One of my favorite things to do on a Unix terminal. So that's synchronized panes, and I invite you to check out this person's blog post. It's really helpful with the key binding, because if you're working, if you have a workflow where you need to do synchronized panes a lot, it'd be good if you had it in a key binding, Control BZ or something. But since I don't need to do this often, I just spend a lot of time looking up the answer on Google. Now at least I can rewatch this video whenever I need to remember how to do this. But here it is right here, set W synchronized panes. Resizing panes. So I mentioned that I'm on a Mac, and in the last episode, number 4, I mentioned that you could resize the panes using some keyboard sequence. So first of all, you can always resize the panes by doing Control B and return. That will rearrange the panes using predefined layouts. So those are the 3 different layouts. But what if you wanted to tweak your own layout? Well, it turns out you can by doing Control B and then the meta key, which on a Mac is escape, and then holding it down, the escape key, you press the arrow that you want to do the movement on. So it's Control B, and here I press the down arrow. So if I do the escape and press the down arrow twice, I do 2 steps of resize. So if I do that, Control B, escape, down, Control B, escape, down, nope, Control B, escape, and then down, and then, oh, I thought I was going to do one more. Oh, maybe it can't do it. So let me try pressing the up arrow. So I can do Control B, escape, up arrow, and well, I guess it won't let me do that twice. Control B, escape. Nope. That thing is really limited to just that one movement. Now, I'm not too worried. The key is that you can control it. And because of that, if I go to here and I do Control B question mark and I do resize, I search for the word resize. This is what I'm doing here. Control B, meta up or meta down. I thought there was a way to control the resizing increment, but this is what the tmux manual page is for. You can read how to do that in the bind key. But again, the key is that the way to do it is to just hold the mouse, hold the escape key, and then the arrows. So if I do a few more, if I do a horizontal layout, say here, I can do Control B and escape right, and it will move it over 5 characters to the right. I thought I could just press escape, arrow, arrow, but I think if I do this number, if I search for the word number or count, okay, so that's how to resize panes in a more granular way, and I do believe you can adjust that increment number, but the main thing was that it was escape and then you hit the arrow at the same time. So I missed that in number 4. That's something I wanted to correct. Killing panes. So we have a few panes up. How do we exit these panes? How do we close them? Well, first of all, I already said the magic word. You can exit just doing exit like this, and that'll just close the session. But if you have a long running program, or if you're just in a rage, you want to exit a pane, you could do Control B and then X. And you notice how it does a interactive removal. It says here at the bottom, kill pane 0, and I'm going to say yes. And if I do, then I'll see that this consists of no panes. It got renamed to pane 0. But that's how to get rid of a pane. Control B, X. But to get rid of a window, it's Control B and this funky one, ampersand. But since I've already told you the secret, you could do first Control B, ampersand, and that'll do an interactive kill of this whole window, which is running bash, and I'm going to say yes. But as I said before, you could just type the word exit and it'll exit the window. So I'm going to create a new window with Control B, Control C. If I do exit, that window goes away. Now, I mentioned this funky thing, Control B and question mark, that's the help. And if I go to this help, there's this 42/42 here in the upper right. Now, in the last, in number 4, I had the terminal like kind of hidden behind the webcam. So I wasn't paying attention to the fact that what I was trying to show you was off screen. But here's 42. what happens with this is it's showing the number of lines from the bottom of the listing. So if I go to the very bottom and I start doing down, you can see the count is also decreasing, and eventually it will get down to 0. So this is more of a, I feel, a subtle thing. I've developed an awareness of the size of my windows. So here, this output has 42 lines, 43 when you count line 0. And you can go up and you can see that if you walk all the way up, you'll see it eventually hit 42. I think I may be stating this wrong. This may be more than 42. 42, I think, represents the number of characters, because if I do, well, I'll save that for later, but the point is these numbers change and let you know when you're at the end. Here it's 42 and there's no more lines above the current one, but you can go all the way to the bottom and you know that there are no more lines below when you're on row 0. So yeah, this says 42 to me, but I noticed that my window is 36 characters tall here in the terminal, but you can also get that from Control B Q, and you can see very quickly, if you look at the upper right, very quickly I do Control B Q 80 by 35. This says that the window minus this status line has 80 by 35 available screen blocks that it can do its work in. So there's 35, and this down here says I'm on 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you can count all the way up, but I think that if I'm if I do like 35, I'm here, spread panes out evenly, and so this, I thought I would think there would be 7 more up here for 7, but it's not really the case. There's slightly more than 7, so I'll have to get back to you on that in number 6 on copying and pasting, because we're going to look at this more in copying and pasting in tmux, which is again, I think it merits its own video. But that's what these numbers mean. It gives you some sensitivity to how many lines are available in whatever you're looking at, in whatever buffer you're examining. I'm going to press escape to get out of the help. Remember, we're looking at the Control B question mark output, which is to help. The status line. Now, the status line is also interesting. It's this thing down here, and that's governed, or that's, for me, it is set using my tmux configuration file. So if I look for the word status in my tmux, if I look for the word status in my tmux.conf directory, you can see a few variables that drive the status. So number 1, these commands here are tmux commands, which you can interactively play with by doing Control B and the colon. So you can say Control B colon, and notice the window, the status line becomes a colon, and you can type in these commands. You could say set option -G status left Rick, and I'm going to surround that in a single quote with a space after, so that when I press return, it's going to leave a nice space between this information here. Status, yeah. So that's the information on the status line. I'm gonna look at this whole thing because wow. So maybe you don't have to configure it. So every time you create a window, you notice that it creates a new entry here, and that's done apparently for free. So remember, I love going to the SDF. I create a new window with the name of SDF, and it's going to be in tmux window number 2, which is 3, as you know, if you've studied computer science. That's not a surprise, but this is the 3rd window. It just happens to be number 2. So here I am on this public server, which is this. Man, I gotta edit that. Let's fix this right here. Let's do a quick aside. Let's do a quick timeout. This is a link on my webpage that's pointing to the wrong thing. I'm gonna go to this HTML directory. I'm gonna go to index and just change this to be, boy, this is, it's been a while since I edited this thing. If I go back, I reload this thing on FreeShell. Boy, do I not know the, thought I knew the, oh, sdf.org. So I will change this to say sdf.org and just rename SDF. I'm just going to change this. I'm going to be a little shell. That's what it is, right? SDF public access. Let's give it the full name on SDF. Anyway, it's gonna look something like that. And if I go back, it's yeah. So I did a little bit of editing. That was in a tmux window that was here, number 2. This, you can see the status line reflects the windows and their numbers. With the status line, you can then go to any window that you want by saying Control B and then its number. So if you go Control B and 0, you go to the 0 window. You can also go to Control B2 and you go back to window number 2, which is actually the 3rd window. But enough of the computer science stuff. So that is the status line. The other piece of the status line that I want to mention is that you can control the information that displays on the right of the status line, and you can also control the information on the interval of the update. But so, for example, if I were to grab this, if I change this thing, I've uncommented this more complicated status line, and I have commented this blank status line, which is actually the right, this section of the status line. If I then do Control B : and I do source, my home directory and tmux.conf, it displays the date, which today is April 20, and then here it has the time and the meridian, AM or PM. So you have the ability to really customize this, and if you go in all the usual places, you'll find a lot of people sharing very customized and highly stylized status lines for tmux. And I used to enjoy looking at the different ways, but of late I keep it pretty simple, bare bones, but do look around for one that fits your fancy. Right. And I think that was it on the status line. I thought, yeah, to some extent, it's the whole thing with the status line is the same way my prompt is still just this % sign. Even if I go into a directory that is a Git directory, I don't have a fancy Git prompt. This is an old computer, so I figured let me allocate all of its cycles to just doing real stuff as opposed to this prettifying my environment, making it pretty to look at. But even though it's an old computer, it's still a fast one. So I probably will, as I do this series, you'll probably see me update this prompt. In fact, that could even be a little video we can do together, different prompts through the ages. So go back to our outline here. I mentioned this thing about the dots, and I already talked about the display size. When you make a connection to tmux, I'm going to make another connection to it using new window with the profile pro. What you'll find is that this is a synchronized window of all of the this tmux is the same as this tmux. This is the client server nature of tmux. Screen does not have, well, put it this way, in the before times, I don't think anybody thought that they could connect to the same screen session. But with tmux and its architecture, you can do it very easily. But when there is a difference in the sizes of the terminal, like in this one, the terminal size is 80 by 25. This terminal is 80 by 36. So 36 minus 25, that's 12. That's what these lines are down here. They represent the 12 lines that you can't access on this window because we have this other session open. If I do this, let's do a listing. You can see that the ending of the bottom is the same as here, but it doesn't go to the bottom. That's what these dots are for. Again, it's about knowing the size of your terminal. And if I do Control B Q, you can see now it changed to 80 by 35. But you know what? Did that just change this thing? What? Oh, okay. Yeah, but when you do Control B Q here, you can see 80 by 24, and here I press Control B and 0, and this shows me 80 by 35. But if you do anything in the other session, it hides it with the arrow, with the dots. I never pay attention to these dots. I never worry about the dots, but it was something that I spent a little more time thinking about because I saw it when I did this demo. There's one other aspect to this. Right. Well, I've said over and over again, you can know the display size of your tmux screen by saying Control B and Q, but you can also get it with tmux list windows. So if you do tmux list windows, this shows that I have 3 windows here. One is a bash that's 80 by 35, one is another bash that's 80 by 35, and one is the SDF window, and that's also 80 by 35. And the same goes for this. You can see that now it says 80 by 24 on this list. So tmux is doing its best to resolve differences between these windows. Again, these are also sessions, so you can say tmux list sessions, and there's only one. It's 0 and it's attached. I actually thought I could do tmux list, clients. You can see there's 2 clients attached to this session. This one, my big terminal with 36 rows, but also my small terminal, the 25 rows. And if I do Control B detach, Control B, wow, it just disappeared. Okay. I did Control B D for detach. So that window and those things, they're gone. But since it's the same session, it doesn't need to save it. But generally, I'm not detaching a second connection. I do find myself, though, doing a detach of sessions, but that, I think I'll save that for number 6. We're going to talk about copying and pasting and session management, because one of the things you can do with tmux is you can have a set of windows predefined for a particular work session. Say you're, I don't know, working on a website and you need to connect to a particular server. You could make a session that just does that and call that session 1. You can name these sessions too. You can say tmux rename session, and I'll name this one Rick. And now if you do tmux, you can see Rick here. But if you had another session, you can create a new session that has a completely different layout and a completely different count of windows. I don't think I can do that here. Because I'm in a session already. But if I started a new terminal, I can go and create a session if I detach from this one. If I create a new terminal that didn't have tmux in it, I can create a new session there. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that. Tmux new session is actually the command that runs when you type just tmux by itself. So now I have this session. If I do tmux list sessions, here's the one with the single window. And I can rename this one to be, I need at least one argument. So I'm going to name it Ron. And so you see what I typed there. And here, if I list the sessions again, now this session is named Ron. I can also detach from this session, detach from session Ron, and I can then attach to session Rick. I think I need to pass a target switch. Yeah, so here you can see I've connected to Rick's session. There's all these sessions here, including Ron, except I've detached from it so it doesn't show that it's attached. Again, if you spend your time in front of a terminal, this might be helpful. You might find yourself thinking, boy, if I had to if I could just save or preserve the way my windows look, then sessions may be something you want to explore. Wow, that was the last thing. I really appreciate you taking a look at this. And in issue number 6 or episode number 6, we're going to talk about copying and pasting with tmux, and all of the interesting things that you get with that capability. Again, it's for the terminal. So look forward to number 6. I really appreciate you checking this out. I really do. And I'll catch up with everybody the next time.